Hi, everybody. Jennifer from the Channel Federator Network here with Steven Silver in this awesome live stream. Steven is an amazing person. He's been around, like, working on all sorts of amazing stuff, like Kim Possible, Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents, which is Federator work, which we're really happy that he was working on that. He was worked for Disney, Sony, Nickelodeon. He is a big, awesome, amazing guy, and he's going to talk to us about how he got started, how how he got through some of the harder parts of being an animator, especially in a bigger form of the industry, teaching us some skills like developing drawing skills and courage and confidence as an artist and as an animator. And we're just really excited to have him on board. So thank you so much for agreeing to doing this live stream with us.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. This is awesome.
I know. And check out his studio, by the way. It is so awesome. Like, are those all your sketches, or are they sketches from other people?
Yeah, these are all just different artists that I've collected over the years, just a lot of my heroes. A lot of it is Mad Magazine was my biggest influence. So most of the work on the walls are from an artist by the name of Mort Drucker from Mad Magazine, and caricatures. And I learned if you ever want to put up artwork, it's cool just to paint your walls red or paint them blue or do something. It makes your artwork pop and makes the studio look even cooler. So
I know. Well, here at Federator, we have a good red theme going on. We have a bunch of, here's our studio. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Right.
Floating cubes and stuff. Yeah. So this is the New York office. We also have an LA office, but you know, I like the New York one better. Anyway, do you have a particular favorite piece you have back there?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, I got like a lot of different, I don't want to move my wire here.
Oh, it's okay.
But I actually have just a Superman, the Superman 3 full story by Mort Drucker. That's on my wall. It's like 7 pages, and that's like taking up a lot of the space. And then I have some caricatures on my wall by like Sebastian Kruger that he drew of me, this artist. I got yeah, it's just crazy in here, but it's inspiring. And that's why, you know, I think it's important for me just to have artwork around you all the time, just because whenever you do go into that phase of your drawing and you just start to lose focus a bit, you just sit and stare and look in the walls and go, yeah, cool. I'm glad that I'm an artist and this is what I do for a living.
Exactly. I'm going to be up there with my heroes.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to remind people there's already a bunch of questions in on the side, which is great. Keep asking your questions, and we're going to be going through and hopefully getting to all of them. Keep in mind that this live stream is about, we're 3 minutes ahead, so we might already ask a question or already answer a question before you even ask it. But so you guys are a little bit behind. There's a little bit of a delay. But other than that, we should all be good. Ask away your questions. I'm going to start, though, have Steven explain a little bit how he got started. I read somewhere that you actually got started as a caricature artist at SeaWorld. Is that right?
Yeah, that's sort of like where it all began for me when I was in I was always, you know, drawing my teachers in high school. I was always fascinated. Again, Mad Magazine was my influence, and that's where I really got all my training from. So when I had the opportunity, I was at, I went to like a junior college because my grades were really bad in high school because I was drawing all the time. And when I was, someone said, hey, they're looking for a caricature artist at SeaWorld in San Diego. You should apply. And I just called them up, and I say, you know, and I spoke to the person I need to speak to, and they said, come on down, let's look at your stuff. And it's all started from there. And, you know, for me, that was always just an important lesson and carried through with everything that I ever did was, and make people have questions about that. But what I've learned is all you ever have to do is ask for anything, you know, that you want, or not be afraid. And this is like part of the topic we're going to talk today, just about the confidence. It's just like, what's the harm of just picking up the phone? I don't know people at SeaWorld. I don't know the management. And I think you just got to dig. And when you dig, you uncover treasure. And that's where you got to be willing just to go on the hunt. And that's what I think I've always done throughout my career. I was always on the hunt. And when I made that phone call and they said, come on down, I showed them my stuff, and I wasn't good by any means, but they said, hey, you can capture somewhat of a likeness, you know, it's pretty bad, but we'll train you. We'll teach you. And then it's experience. Then it's getting out there and doing it. And that gave me, that was really my training. That was my art school. That was everything, because I never went to art school. And that was where I really built the foundation. And it's where I really learned how to deal with people, because you know, you got to imagine you're drawing caricatures of people, and you have people behind you who are telling you your artwork sucks. They're telling you that looks nothing like the person, and so you're dealing with all these pressures. You're dealing with elements of the sun beaming down on you. You're dealing with birds, you know, pooping on your artwork. I mean, you're dealing with everything. So if I encourage anyone, if they want to get real world experience and build a thick skin in this industry and not be concerned or worry about what other people say or think about you, because I know a lot of people have that. They get so, you know, concerned and upset about what other people think or other people are saying about them. And when you go through an experience like that, you build up such a thick skin where nothing hurts you. And artists can be very sensitive, you know, and it's just like, you know, you take pride in your work and someone's telling you it sucks. I had people take their drawing and rip it up right in front of me and throw it away. But it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet it was a lot of fun. Have you ever made anyone cry?
Yeah. Made some people cry, made some, you know, that's never fun, because you really feel like, did I capture them that well? That's what I'm thinking. Did I capture them that well that they know the truth and now they're real upset about it because they realize for the first time that everyone sees their flaws, what they already know? You know, it's like they look in the mirror and they go, oh, my chin is my nose is so huge, my ears are so big, but probably other people don't notice that about me. And then when you draw it, then they realize, oh my God, the whole world sees their imperfections. And I think that's the danger sometimes of doing caricatures. But I learned my lesson, and I learned to just make sort of nice, flattering pictures. I knew everyone loved that, you know.
Everyone wants to look good. They don't want to see the true mirror.
No. Yeah.
So where was the next step after the caricatures? Like, how did you get in? Because eventually you're working for huge production companies. Like, what was the in-between step?
Yeah, the in-between step was just always being assertive again, just trying to create my own, not knowing what the art world was, not knowing what existed out there, not having any teachers and any mentors in the sense saying, hey, you could get into this sort of illustration, you could do this, you could do animation. I didn't hear or know any of that. All I knew that I wanted to draw, so I was always just trying to forge, and a lot of it was out of just being naive, you know, just trying different things. I'd go to the copy store down the street from me and I go, people come in here all the time. I wonder if maybe they need an artist for something. I don't know. So I asked the person at the copy counter, you know, like Kinko's, hey, can I put up on your wall and just show what I do? Oh, sure, by no means. And I actually got some jobs from that. And then at Christmas time, I went around, I'd drive and I'd see people were painting windows during Christmas time on storefront windows. And I thought, I wonder how hard that would be to do. And I went and bought some paints, and then I showed up at some local stores around me and asked them if they wanted me to paint their windows. Sure, you know, and then I started doing that. So it was always trying. And then at Christmas time, I would set up at the shopping malls during Christmas, November and December, and draw caricatures of people because people wanted a unique gift. I knew people were always looking for their grandparents, so they'd have their grandkids drawn, their parents would to send to them, or I'd be drawing from a lot of photos. And from there, I met a lot of people. So people, again, this is about being exposure, by putting yourself out there. You cannot hide behind the internet. You cannot hide behind, and the internet didn't even exist then when I was doing this. And I'm not that old, but you know, it wasn't around. And I met people. So people came and said, hey, I have this, you know, No Fear, the clothing company. They saw me drawing caricatures, and they said, hey, what are you doing after the Christmas season? Do you want to maybe come visit us, show us what you got? And I came and showed them all my drawings, and they ended up hiring me. So then all of a sudden I was a graphic designer. I was doing T-shirts for, you know, No Fear. And then another time I was drawing, I got approached by this casino in San Diego called Barona Casino. And the president saw me, said, hey, what are you doing after the Christmas season? We'd love to have you at our casino. And so I was working there. So it was always by putting myself out there is what created opportunities for me. And then I would be a member of this Southern California Cartoonist Society. So being a member of groups, I think is very important. Join organizations, I would say to everyone.
Like the Children's Federator Network?
That's right. That's right. You know, it's like you meet people and things happen when you put yourself out there. And that's what happened. I met a guy that worked at Warner Brothers and I showed him my work. I would always have my portfolio, my sketchbook with me and show to people. That was the confidence that I had, where not being afraid of what people would say or think, just even though it was horrible stuff, I would still throw it out there just to get an opinion, and I would listen to the opinion. And I think that's very important, just to really not be like, yeah, sure. No, I really listened, and he said, hey, keep working on your stuff, but stay in contact. And I contacted him a year later. It was a year later. I called up this guy at Warner Brothers, say, hey, can I show you my stuff? He said, come on up. And I showed him I drove to LA and I showed him my portfolio, and he said, hey man, you got some really good stuff. They're looking for a character designer on a show called Hysteria at Warner Brothers. They had just fired someone. They just fired their character designer because he wasn't working out. So it just happened to be, I was there that week while they were testing other designers, and I didn't have anything in my portfolio but my own sketchbook drawings, figure drawings, and caricatures. And Hysteria was very caricature driven. And I showed them my work, and then I got a call back from them. They wanted me to take a test. This is what they do in the studios. You're going to get tested. And then that's how I got my break into the studio back in 1997. And then just one thing sort of led to another. Again, just always putting myself out there. Even when I was at the studios, I would keep my office door open. I would post up artwork on my wall of the stuff that I was doing and created my own gallery. So people would come and see, oh man, oh wow, I didn't realize you drew that, or I didn't realize you draw like that. And then what would happen, people would come around and there'd be tours of the studios. And then people would say, stop by my office to show kids, because I'm the one who had all the artwork on the walls. So my office almost became an attraction. And that's what happened at Nickelodeon when I was on Danny Phantom and Kim Possible, these different shows at Disney. Is it became the office to stop by, because, you know, me and my office mates would have our artwork everywhere, and it became a gallery. So putting yourself out there, not being afraid, is really a huge thing.
That's giant. Speaking of all these places you've worked for, do you have a particular favorite and why?
You know, I can honestly say, I mean, I always remember like the very first, it's weird, the smell of the elevator when I went into Disney animation. I was at Disney and there was just like, wow, I'm at Disney. But I remember just, I don't know, they've all been great, but Nickelodeon was amazing. I just love the environment. If anyone's had the opportunity to visit the studio in Burbank, it's just very creative. And I think out of all the studios I worked, that was the best as far as environment, because it was very creative. Where when I was at Disney in the Frank G. Wells building, everything was very gray, cubicles, you know, sort of dark. It wasn't really, it didn't really,
colorful.
Yeah, well, it didn't really cater again to their sort of like burst of creativity. And even when I was at Sony, you know, same thing. So that's why I think Nickelodeon did it right when they were even just color and artwork and everything. And again, if anyone has the opportunity to visit there, it's really, it's still, you know, it looks nice in there.
What was your first like big break studio job?
Well, yeah, well, I mean, as far as animation was the Warner Brothers. As far as, you know, job was No Fear. When I was doing graphic design, I was I was working in a bullpen pretty much. We were just all in one big warehouse room and we were all surrounding each other, working in one space. But yeah, Warner Brothers was the first in-house place that I worked, and it was awesome, you know. And I would say to anyone out there, try to get that experience, you know, if you can. It's not going to happen for everyone, but it's not the end all be all either. Don't feel, you know, the market is changing drastically in many ways to where don't feel that you haven't made it if you don't get hired by an actual studio. There's so many people creating their own content now, and you know, content is king, and it's by people who are creating and developing their own ideas, their own IPs. That's where it's all at. It's putting the pencil to paper, coming up with the ideas, making it happen. That's where the value is, and that's what people want, and anyone can do that. You don't need someone to tell you that you can do that. You can, if you take initiative, you can do this.
I mean, look at all these shows that started up on YouTube, like Fred, The Annoying Orange. Like, they all have these shows now on TV in production because they had a YouTube channel and a YouTube series that did very well, and it showed producers that they could do it all on their own. What would happen if we gave them a little bit of extra money? So
Right.
it has happened, and it will happen, and it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, that's the beautiful thing about what's happening now is this is global open market, and everyone is capable of having their own channel. You don't have to be Nickelodeon, you don't have to be Sony, you don't have to be Disney or Warner Brothers. Most of all these people are trying to get on the internet anyway and create their own internet content. So, but you have the power. You can create your own channel, develop it. You can build your. I mean, we're seeing so much of this happening, and these people with all these fans and their subscribers, and they're building worlds, you know, just from their own content.
And it's amazing. But let's backtrack a little bit and go into, like, how does one get started? Like, one of the first bullet points in the presentation is developing your own drawing skills, so you have like a groundwork to work off of.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what it, you know, really comes down to is like, you have to have a skill set. You have to have a level of skill, right? In order to do anything, in order to compete in anything. And that's what you're doing out there in the art world. In a sense, you're competing like a basketball player, like a track runner, like anyone in any form of industry. You're competing. So how does one get ahead? Well, they got to be better somehow. Okay. So, and that involves just creating content, creating art that's strong and that people want to see it. What's missing today, what I've noticed in a lot of portfolios, is too many people are focusing on the details. Too many people are just focusing on trying to make pretty paintings, pretty pictures, color them, but they don't have the foundation. They don't have the fundamentals. They're not doing the life drawing. They're not doing the gesture drawing. They're not doing the observation in their sketchbook. And in order to stand out and get ahead, this is what's going to separate you from a lot of other people, because drawing is the hardest thing. Coloring, learning color technique, you know, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a lot easier than drawing and really building that strong foundation. So the artist that puts their energy and effort into becoming a good draftsman, that's the one where people are going to look at their artwork, and that's what we react to. We react to good drawing. Okay. And I think that's how you get started. And for me, that's how I, you know, developed and got started. I was just drawing all the time. You should be filling up a sketchbook at least once every 2 months. If not more. You should have about 6 sketchbooks, 8 sketchbooks a year, not just one a year. I see that people show me their sketchbooks, and it's like from a year old. It's like, yeah, I did that way back in, you know, last year in November. It's just like, wait a minute. So it's already, you know, whatever it may be. It's like you have to keep working at this, and that's what's going to make you stand out. And that's the most important thing that I would say.
What was awesome is that you mentioned that, Stephen, you actually carried a sketchbook around with you everywhere. So whenever inspiration struck, because I mean, I was a graphic designer. I went to art school and stuff like that. And it's drawing and art it's literally a muscle. It's your hand muscle. It's your brain muscle. It's like sports, like you mentioned. You need to work that muscle, and otherwise you're gonna lose it, or you're not gonna improve. It's a muscle that you need to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Without, yeah, it is. It's just the constant repetition is what it all comes down to. It's just repetition and awareness of your weaknesses. You have to be aware of what your weakness is in order for you to grow. If you're not aware that you're truly bad at drawing hands, you're not going to get better at drawing hands, because you're not, in your mind, you don't feel you need to improve upon that. So through your own awareness of your own work, that's what's going to make you get to that next level too.
And how do you develop, like, let's move into the next point of developing the courage to work on the things that you're not so good at, or be really prolific in saying, like, I'm really awesome at this. This is why you need to hire me. Like, courage can be in many different forms. And how do we develop that?
Yeah, I think the courage factor, what is it? It's like you're facing, you got that fear. You got that fear, that danger, that thing that scares you. And most of it may be just getting out in front of people. And, a lot of people, again, have this fear of even standing out in front of people or speaking up. And for me, the one big factor that I learned is a saving grace is when I was looking to get into the shopping malls during my Christmas season, I didn't have the courage. I was scared to go to management at the shopping mall and ask them and show them my proposal and let them know what it is I wanted to do. And I remember my dad just said to me, I always remember distinctly, I was like 18 years old. I was sitting on the couch and I was just a nervous wreck in my head. And my dad said to me, he said, what's your fear? What are you so scared of? What's your biggest fear? Because this, again, ties into the courage. And I said, well, what are you afraid of? I said, well, I would hate to be stabbed and I would hate to drown. Those two things, and he said, well, when you go into that meeting today, are they going to stab you? No. Are they going to drown you? No. The worst thing that anyone is ever going to say to you is no. And when I realized that mindset, that the worst anyone is ever going to do is just say no for whatever it is, that's where, so what's the big deal? And that's how I really developed my courage, just to be able to ask. And I found through asking, you get things happen all the time because I ask. And even when it comes to money, when it comes to getting a raise, asking negotiation, ask for what you want and, not being afraid, and people will say yes. They're not going to say yes all the time, but the worst they're ever going to say is no. So, put yourself out there. Something for me was, drawing caricatures in front of people. You get a crowd of people around you, that helped me overcome and create more courage just to draw in front of people, getting up and doing public speaking in some facet. I know some friends of mine who have joined like Toastmasters, just different organizations, and they force themselves to get up there and do that. And that's what it takes. And I realize, again, people don't care like we think they do. We in our minds go, people are saying stuff about us. They really, and no one cares. And I remember I did an experiment. This was like about 3 months ago. My daughter gave me this bright purple, beanie hat. It was a super hot day. It was so bright, fluorescent, something I would never wear out in public. I'm just like, oh my God, that's so silly. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to run all my errands today. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to go to the post office. I'm doing all the things I'm going to do today, but I'm going to do it wearing this hat just because I want to see how people will react. And I put it on. I went out there and no one said a word and no one even looked at me. And I'm looking just to get a reaction and nothing happened. And I realized people just don't care. It's all in our head. We create it ourselves. So I think when you overcome that, that's where your courage starts to, really shine and come out.
And courage develops into confidence. And one of our viewers asks, like, how high should that confidence be, especially when pitching? Because there is a fine line, I feel like, when you might seem cocky almost, where that confidence might switch a little bit. And then there's also a point where you don't want to be too modest and like shy and demure. Do you have a good suggestion or a balance of how to figure out that point?
Yeah, I almost think like it's, trial and error. I think it taps into ego, too. I mean, some people have these huge egos and they feel they are better than people and they're arrogant and there's just this air about them. And I don't know, can someone change that about themselves? Yes, but yeah, you don't want to. I think it's very important just to listen more than anything. It's just like ask questions and listen, let people talk. Don't keep talking and chatting when someone's trying to have a conversation with you, because that's almost like overdoing it. I think, I mean, I think people inherently know. They know if they're in front of a person, they go, God, that guy was a real a-hole. It's just like they feel the energy that's just overpowering. And again, it comes to awareness where you got to know, oh my God, that waiter, whatever it may be, that situation that you've seen where you realize, geez, that's just horrible. Well, you got to check yourself and know I'm not going to do that. And so, yeah, you don't want to be way over the top, like, you know, I'm just the best, and this is it. You know, it's just like, share your ideas, stop and pause, take some breaths, listen, you know, respond to people's questions, ask the questions, and then, yeah, don't be so shy that you're just sitting with your head down and just looking up every now and again, and because that's not showing any confidence, that's showing a sign of weakness, and no one wants to really work with a weak person. People do respect people of confidence. They do. They're going to look at you differently. They believe in you, and that's what it comes down to is the belief that this person, I believe that this person is going to get the job done, and they're going to do it right because of their own self-confidence. Otherwise, I'm not going to trust someone who's just like so down on themselves and keeps telling me that their artwork sucks and that, you know, this and that. It's just like, well, then I'm not going to work with you, or I would never hire you, or, you know, because if you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect anyone else to believe in you? It's just not going to happen. So that's the most important thing, is just, you know, even if you got to fake it, you know, just, you know, you be like Superman, all right? Just all of a sudden just come out and just create this different energy and aura about yourself, and see what happens. And you'll be surprised. People will go, wow, you know?
Doors of opportunity will open, that's for sure.
That's right.
That's a perfect segue into the next point of building the skills to communicate ideas with clients.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh yeah, I just, you know, just think, you know, again, all part of coming up with the self-confidence, and you're going to be working with many different directors, art directors, clients. Again, it comes down into just the always listen to what the client is asking for. I've had someone say, you know, that they were doing some work, and how do I deal with client notes? Okay. The fact of the matter is, you deal with client notes by dealing with client notes. They're your client. You deal with their notes. It's not, you got to understand that whenever you're working with a company, an animation studio, you know, production, separate clients, they are your boss at that point. They're the ones who are paying you. They're the chefs of the kitchen. You are mainly providing the service that they want, and you just want to really just be as polite as possible all the time. You know, you don't want to be pissing the clients off because they're never going to use you again. You know, if you're hard to work with, if you're difficult to work with, it's over. And you know, you could say that about anything. If I had a guy come to my house to fix my roof, and he was just being a jerk, it was hard, and I'm saying, you know, I got a leak through here, and he's trying to tell me, well, no, don't worry about it. It's not going to affect your room. And I said, yeah, but it's right there. It's coming through. And he's arguing with me. And I'm just, you know, get out of here. You know, I don't want to work with you. I'm never going to hire you again. So think about it always as, if, you know, that golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You know, is so, you know, important, where just think about that. Always put yourself in that situation. Like, if this was me, if the role was reversed, how would I treat this? And I think is a huge thing. But yeah, kindness, you know, always, clients, I like to always give them the benefit of the doubt. I like to make them put them on a higher level, and, you know, where they're just giving them the power. You know, letting them say, you know, so, you know, what do you think about this? What direction would you like to go in? How would you, you know, and really make them feel like they're part of the process, instead of you being just the, you know, it's important to, again, have the confidence to let them know you're the guy for the job, but you also don't want to be the guy that's just taken over and just like, no, that's a horrible idea. No, you know, no, don't even do that. That's terrible. You know, those are things you don't want to do.
I mean, especially think about, these are the people that are going to get you follow-on jobs, that are going to hire you again, that are going to recommend you to other people. So you need to build a network, and you need to, even if there's a job that you don't want to do or that you pass on, you should still maintain positive relationships with these people, because you never know when they're going to come back around again.
Absolutely, and it's even the person who you think, who's just delivering the mail, or so whatever it may be. These people, they come up and people rise ranks. It's just, again, treat people with respect and things will happen. And most people will know, and maybe people watching this talk will say that most of the jobs that people will get in this industry are through friend relationships. That's where the majority of your work comes from, just people, recommendations, where, it's not always banging down the door and trying to get to it. It's like someone you've worked with in the past that refers you, says, oh, he was great to work with, he was on time. And that's another thing coming up with clients. Make sure when you promise you're going to deliver some work, deliver it. Make sure you're not going past the deadline, and because that's a huge factor too. I know people who took tests at the studios when they're given tests and they turned in their stuff late. And that's right there, the sign that that's part of the test, just to see if you're even going to get the work done on time. If you're turning it in late, then what's going to happen when you're on a production, which is going to be 10 times harder, 10 times more work. That's something you got to really be cautious of.
Speaking of work and working with other artists, one of our viewers asks, is it difficult working with artists of a different style or skill, or in a way can you highlight each other's weaknesses and strengths?
Yeah, no, I think, you're almost highlighting and you're almost learning. It becomes almost like a learning factor, because everyone does have their different styles and their own way of drawing. And I think that's what's so great about the studio environment, is when you get all these different artists coming together with all different skill sets, and you go, oh my God, that guy's great at doing caricatures. That's awesome. Wow, look how good that person is at doing layout. Wow, look how that person approaches character design. And you take these things and you just, you see it and you pull it in, and I would embrace it, especially if I was working. And that's the benefit to me of working in a studio as opposed to working freelance. I just work freelance now, and I have for the last 9, almost 10 years. And I almost really miss being in that collaborative process around other, friends and artists through there.
That kind of segues in a little bit to the next point with building a positive attitude. Personally, like myself, when I was in art school, it was sometimes hard to submit work and projects and then see other people's submissions. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm not as good as that. Being around other people that are just so much better than you at certain things. How do you recommend remaining positive and staying enthusiastic about your work and your field?
Yeah, I think I remember when I was at Sony Feature, and God, the talent was just so unbelievable, just insane. And at those moments, I would always look at these other artists' work and be like, oh my God, it's just like, hey, here I am, that feature doing this, but I'm still to myself going, geez, their work is so great. And for myself, I came to the realization that everyone has their unique talent, and skill, and to accept that, and to accept your place where you're at, and know, you know what, I do character design. This is where I'm at with my character design. Can I improve upon my design? Yes. That person is a great painter. That person is a great concept artist. That person's a great, this, and that's what they do best. Can they do what I do? No. Can I do what they do? No. And it's just knowing that you're an individual and not letting that just, beat you up inside. And I think that's the most important thing, is for one to come to that realization that, you're as good as you're going to be or can be right now. But if there's something during this process when you're feeling so, much lower, or you don't feel like you're as high level as a bar, well, that's the calling, that's the whisper, that's the sign to say, you know what, it's time for you to kick it up into gear and start cranking and start working even harder. And start to raise that bar. And that's all you can do. It's just like, you're an individual, this is your life, and you're in control of it. And it's your effort determines your outcome. So it's up to you how much effort you're willing to put in. And eventually you start to go, hey, I'm not that person. And I know you got it's hard, but I'm not that person. And that's the thing too. We're always trying to live through other people's lives. We look at other people's lives constantly as humans and go, God, you know, I want that. It'd be so cool. And that's almost like partly really like almost like the danger of Facebook and everything, where people are getting this look into other people's lives and thinking, I want that person's life, when it's not really real. You know, it's like people are having these moments, you know, and they post it and it's at that little moment, but people have good days and people have bad days, and you have good days and you have bad days. It's just like, you got to try to detach yourself more than anything from all that madness and chaos and just go, what am I going to do? Who am I? What can I do and serve? And what is my purpose on this planet? And form that and make your universe, make it be, just forget about everyone else, in all honesty. Don't be a-hole. Don't like disregard people and shelter yourself in a cave, but you got to just not be concerned about what other people are doing, thinking, saying, and just be yourself and have fun with whatever it is that you choose to do.
That was beautiful. Very, very well said, Stephen. Let's move on to the last and final point that we're talking about real quick, which is anxiety. Anxiety, you know, haunts a lot of artists these days, of showing off your personal work and like, am I good enough? All these things. I mean, we've been touching on these points all the time, but we haven't exactly stated about how to reduce our anxiety to become better as a person. Do you have any like tips and skills we could all learn from that?
Yeah, you know, so again, this is all just the anxiety oftentimes comes where it comes from, I believe, is just from thinking of what other people are, how other people are going to react. Like, you're getting anxious because you're afraid of what someone else may be thinking of you, or what someone else may say. Like, you're building up this thing in your head. You're creating this mad story. Like, oh my God, they're going to say this. I don't even want to show them the design. And if they, and how many times has that happened to you in any situation in your life? I don't care. Maybe it's like you're going out on a date. Maybe you like someone, whatever it is, you've created all this chaos in your head, this anxiety, just for the end result to be, then you finally do it. You build up the confidence, you ask, and then it doesn't happen that way. And you're just like, oh my God, what have I done? I just gave myself a heart attack, otherwise, how many times have you sent that email out, you're doing something, sent that artwork out, you're posting something and thinking, oh my God, they're going to hate it. Something's going to happen. They're going to come and chew me out now and all this. And all of a sudden they come in and go, hey, great job. That was awesome. Oh my God, so when this happens enough times, again, you come to the realization, just be patient. I think is very important part of avoiding the anxiety. It's just relax. There was a great, this guy that I loved his book. It was called, which really changed my life. It was called, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose by, people are probably saying it out there. Eckhart Tolle. He wrote this book, Awaken to Your Life's Purpose. And he talked about there's only 3 things you can do in any situation that will ever occur in your life. You can either change the situation, you either accept the situation, or you remove yourself from the situation. So whatever happens or is happening in your life, you ask yourself those 3 things. Can I change it right now? And you go, well, maybe no, maybe you can, and maybe you can't. Maybe your computer crashes, okay? So now, oh my God, I had all my files and everything, and this is causing anxiety. How am I going to get this back? This happened to me when I was on a project at Nickelodeon, working all day, and my computer crashed, and I'm just like, okay, can I change this? All right, let me see if I can change it. Let me see if I can go back and fix. Okay, no, let me call tech support. Okay, they can't do it. Okay, that's out. Can I remove myself from the situation? No. I'm at Nickelodeon. I got a job to do. I got to get my work done. I'm not like quitting. Oh my God, I'm going to quit. I lost all my work. I'm out of here. And so the only choice I had was to accept the situation. And this can happen when you get a flat tire on the road. Do you change it, remove it, or accept it? These are the 3 things. Well, I'm going to try to change the situation here. I'm first of all going to accept the situation that I got a flat tire. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the situation by calling AAA and doing something about it and having them come fix my tie unless I do it myself. And that's what you do. And for me, those are the things that I do to help me avoid any sort of anxiety. I wouldn't say that I necessarily, I think a lot. I'm always thinking, but I think it's very important to write things down. I always believe in putting your thoughts on paper. Get it out of all up here, going 1,000 miles an hour, all these things I have to do, put it down on paper. And that's why I write a lot. I write a lot of my thoughts like I'm writing to myself. I come up with just my thought process, what I'm feeling, what I think is in my head. And when I start writing it out, it starts to become clear. And then I can look back at it, and that lowers anxiety, because that's the most important thing. You gotta clear your head of all this madness, because that's what it is, madness.
Awesome. We are going to move on to answering the rest of these remaining questions. If you all people in the network watching out there have more questions, feel free to put them in the little Q&A column on the right, and we will get to them. So let's start with, it leads on to the anxiety thing. Peter asks us, like, how does he know when his portfolio is good enough to submit or show off to people?
I think first, don't show your portfolio, your artwork to your parents or relatives or grandparents, because they're always going to tell you how terrific you are. I think it's very important. Just the only way, the true way, is just to get professional opinion. You have to get an opinion of an artist in that specific field that's working, and hopefully they'll be honest with you. I know that I'm very honest with people when I look at their portfolio. I don't like to beat around the bush, and I'll just tell them what I think they have to learn. But I think that's the only true way to know, because I know people who yeah, you're right, they feel very confident in their work, and they just they're so proud of their portfolio, and I look at it and I got to drop them down a few notches and say, listen, this is what you got to do. And it's hard to hear, but that's the reality. And then some people are super talented and their artwork is great, and they still belittle themselves. And every artist does. I've barely met any artist, rarely met an artist, professional or student or ever, who's truly ever content with their work. And that's a good sign. I almost say, if you're like super confident with your work, if you're over the top with it, you're probably maybe not that great. If you have to overcompensate and let everyone know how good you are, you're probably not as good as you think you are.
So that leads on to our next question, which is, how do you deal with showing off your work on social media? Coming from the YouTube network side, I'm going to tell your ex-manager to shove it, because posting your stuff on social media, that is the age we're in nowadays. Promoting yourself online is huge. There's nothing wrong with promoting yourself online, but I'm going to let Steven give his opinion too.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you have to just put yourself out there online, again, through all these different facets. But with that said, I also highly encourage people to get out there and show their work at conventions. Go get a table at a comic convention. There's conventions, there's street fair. There's things happening every single weekend all over the world, all over America. Wherever you are, there's something going on where what you have to do is you have to put your artwork in front of the public. They have to be able to see it. And through there, you're going to start to get reaction from the public, which is the consumer, which is the person who's going to be interested in buying your work. Maybe they have their own company and they need a logo, or they need a design drawn for their cat and dog grooming company, or maybe you're going to meet some book publisher. Maybe you'll be at a comic show. I remember I was at a convention, and there was an artist sitting next to me, and they were showing their artwork, and they had it all displayed. They're selling their own stuff, but someone came by from a studio, and they were talking to this artist just about trying to ask them about their artwork, and they introduced themselves. Hey, I work in development at the so-and-so studio. And this artist was just sitting there and just not saying anything, and just like, not just like, you know, she was asking all these questions. She's going, I don't know. I don't know. You can't do that. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to go to the conventions, you got to make sure, and this will help with you with their confidence. Stand up, say hello to people. Don't just sit at a convention at a table when you do get out there in front of people and just sit there and just like this the whole time, just drawing with your head down. You gotta look up at people. You need to greet them. You need to say hello. Hey, let me know if you have any questions. You know, these are things that you got to do. But yeah, social media is a must. If you don't do it, then you're sort of you know, going back in time. You know, the history, and this is where again, like, I love what Frederator is doing or has done, and was really the leader of the pack in all this, where so many of these studios now, they're all trying to create internet content, because this is the new way. This is how people can get stuff instantaneously. Where are kids watching stuff? They're watching it. You know, I go to Starbucks and draw, and I see all these little kids, and they're on their iPads or their iPhones. They're not sitting in front of a TV anymore looking at stuff. They're not running home like I did as a kid to watch TV and at the 3 o'clock in the afternoon and get my content. I didn't waking up on Saturday morning cartoons, and that was how I got to watch cartoons. Now it's at any time, any place, and that's what people want. So create your own, and that's why, you know, what you guys are doing there is, you know, again, it's revolutionary, but it's going with the times, and it's what's going to, it's just going to grow from here without a doubt.
And, you know, again, don't let one person, your ex-manager, bring you down. It's all about you. He's not the one putting up the stuff. You are. It's your work, your brand, your name. Don't worry about what other people say.
Right.
But that leads us to the next point that someone asks is like, what is the best way to handle with criticism?
You know, in all honesty, it's just with a smile and nod. You know, it's just like, you got to understand, what sort of criticism is it? Is it criticism just from someone who, you know, that's someone who's jealous, someone who's, you know, like a lot of people will say, hey, you know what, I wouldn't, I wouldn't submit your portfolio. I don't know that you got the right stuff. I tried submitting and they didn't hire me. Well, that was you. And maybe your personality isn't so great, or maybe your artwork isn't as strong. So where's that criticism coming from? And just because something didn't happen for someone else doesn't mean it's not going to happen for you. So you got to know, who's it coming from? Is this person? But if it's someone that you respect and someone that you admire, you want to hear something from, and they criticize you, well, hopefully it's a good criticism. You know, it's a nice critique. And it's like, and I would say, handle it by paying attention and just listening. And if someone tells you, listen, you need to work on your structure, you need to work on your forms, you need to work on your anatomy, well, take that to heart and listen to it, and don't just blow it off and say, well, there's so many people I've looked at their portfolios and telling them what they need to do, and they go, yeah, well, I meant to do that. No, it's not gonna, at that point when they're telling me that, I check out, because I'm like, they're not open to it. They don't want to hear the truth, and they're not going to act on it. Otherwise, I'm looking at people's work. They want to criticism, right? But I'm not going to go, that sucks. I'll never tell anyone their work sucks. I'll let them say, hey, listen, this is what you need to improve on. And I'll look at their work, but I'll be telling them stuff, and all of a sudden they're just doing this. And they're just sort of like looking at different places. So I'm just like, okay, that's at that point I check out. I'm just like, okay, hey, you're wasting my breath. You're not listening. You can't handle the criticism at that point. So just be strong. Just listen to it and do what someone recommends.
Right. Because they're taking the time out of their day to help you. Criticizing your work does not improve their life. I mean, maybe unless they really like criticizing people, but
right.
Like they're trying to help you out. So the least you can do is listen. And then after listening to what they have to say, then digest and see if like sometimes my mom criticizes me on my stuff, and I was like, I hear you, but I'm not going to follow you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Stephen, do you currently draw on paper or a tablet?
I do both. I think it's very important to draw on your, paper, just to get that feeling, build up your sort of,
Your
just
muscles.
muscle, right? Muscle memory sort of thing, and start to build that up. But also on tablet, I do for production. On paper, I do it for my own personal work, my own sketchbook, observations. But for production work, I'm always using the Cintiq. That's how I prefer to, because I don't have to scan anything in. It cuts down on time, and it's a lot simpler.
I want a Cintiq so badly. Oh man, that would be amazing. Cool. So Benjamin also asks, for a piece of work to be truly great, the artist must know what it needs, not how he or she wants to create. I'm not quite sure what he's asking, but maybe you have a better idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, for a piece of work to be truly great, the artist must know what it needs, not how he or she wants to create it. Yeah, I'm not too sure on that question either.
That's all right. Maybe it's just leading. Benjamin, if you could.
I think for a piece just to be truly great is going to be just for yourself. Do you feel, that it's great? I mean, we've seen rough sketches from artists that we look at that as great. We look at the masters. We could look at Rembrandt. We could look at a Degas. We could look at these guys and we look at a sketch and go, wow, that's a masterpiece. What makes that a masterpiece? I don't know. It's just like it's subjective. But we can look at something, and I think it's, I think if it has life in it, drawing is all about, especially incorporating life, especially animation. You want to have a feeling, you want to create life. And as long as you do that, that's what's going to make your artwork great.
Speaking of sketches, here in the Frederator office, we have so many pieces of artwork from like Hanna-Barbera, Tom and Jerry cartoons, original Warner Brothers, and they're literally just sketches of like these amazing famous artists, and I'm like, that is amazing. But probably to that artist, he's like, it was a sketch. Oh, it's not that great. But to me, I'm like, wow, this is an original signed Tom and Jerry storyboard. This is amazing.
Right. Yeah, it's very subjective, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So another question, Stephen, what companies are you very prolific in? So like you worked with Disney, Sony, Nickelodeon. Are there any others, big names that we're missing?
I mean, Warner Brothers, so many of them. There's just been so many, and so many even animation, commercial houses doing commercial stuff like real effects at different places. I mean, I've just kind of worked with a lot of different people along the way. So it's, but again, part of that came from just putting myself out there, having a website, going to the conventions, publishing my own books. That was a huge launching point for me when I published my own books, because people almost in a sense buying my portfolio. And that really put me out there. And that's why I think it's so important to take initiative and create your own projects and put stuff out there and stop hiding. Just try it. You don't know what's going to happen. Take the risk. Don't worry about the failures. Don't worry about the rejections. It's going to happen. It's a part of life. That's what it's all about. It's all about growing. It's about learning. Keep watering that plant, right? Just keep doing that, and you're going to start to see different results. And you're living a life of different chapters, and that's how I look at life. Every time's a different chapter. It has been a different chapter, where there was a chapter in my life where I was a studio artist. Now there's a chapter in my life where I'm a freelance artist. Now there's a chapter in my life where I have my own school. There's a chapter, there's all these different aspects of your life that it's a book until you got the beginning and you got the end. And, just enjoy the journey.
I think that is a great place to end this live stream with that amazing epic speech you just had. There's just one more question that I wanted you to answer is, are you going to see the Avengers movie?
Am I gonna see the? I will. I'm gonna go with my son. I'm gonna take him to see it for sure. I've seen all the others out there, and it's fun. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Awesome. Stephen, is there any other parting words of advice you'd like to give people about confidence, anxiety, showing your work, getting out there? Any other parting words of wisdom for everyone in our network?
I mean, I always have a lot to say. I do want to share that every Monday I do on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, which is YouTube/Silvertunes. But on my website, I post sort of like a weekly motivational, informational message out there. And on my website, which is silvertunes.com, you can find them all there. I have them all listed on there. And that's where I'm just really talking about my my journey. And I think the most important thing that you can do out there is just don't be afraid to fail. Just know that let this journey. There was this great poem. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was the name of it is called Ithaca, and it's just a great little poem just about life's a journey, just not a destination. It's all about enjoying the journey. Let this journey be long. Don't be in such a rush to get to wherever it is you're going, because the reality is what we find in life is that every time we think we want something and we achieve it, what happens? We get content for a while and we just want more. And it's like always going to be that. So just know the grass is always going to be greener. We're always going to be thinking about that. So just wherever you're at in your life, enjoy that. And then just wait for the next thing to happen and enjoy that and enjoy that. And know that every moment in life only happens once. You're only going to experience everything one time, whatever that situation may be. And just, again, it comes down to just really embracing and enjoying everything that you're doing. And if you feel that you're not good enough in your art, well, make sure you become aware of what you struggle with, what you're not good at doing, and get better and draw all the time. That's what's going to make you distinctive over a lot of other artists out there. It's just your drawing skill. So build that up, then build up your color, build all that, make a nice, let it all come together, and you'll have success in whatever form you want that success.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming, Stephen. Like he said, definitely subscribe to him on YouTube at Silvertunes and also silvertunes.com. He is an amazing artist and character designer currently working in the industry today. He's also part of the Channel Frederator Network. We're really excited to have him. So we want to thank you guys for watching. This will be available on YouTube at channelfrednetwork.com. Links will all be in the description to his website, YouTube page, the books that he was talking about. They're all going to be in the description below. Be sure to subscribe to Channel Frederator for more really awesome live streams like this. We do one every month. And make sure if you are in the network that you are staying up to date within the community, within the Sphere community, sphere.frederator.com, and make sure that you don't miss out on any of the live streams, YouTube best practice hangouts. We have collaborations going on. Speaking of drawing every day, we have a sketch a day by one of our really awesome members, Sasani Walker, where he makes a sketch prompt, and then every day everyone in the network submits their sketch idea. I also participate. Yeah, so it's really fun, amazing things in the community happening all the time. Maybe Stephen would like to start participating in the, yeah, and then you can all check out his awesome ideas and sketches. So that's all I have for the day, guys. I hope you guys have a really awesome day, I guess, and enjoy building your confidence and your drawing skills. And I can't say it as well as Stephen has, but I will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.